This is Still a Part of Us, a podcast where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter Red, and in this episode of Advice and Encouragement from a Lost Mom, I chat with Chrissy, whose son Zyler died in his sleep at 6 months old. It was ruled as a sudden unexpected infant death, or SUID. By the way, you can hear Chrissy's episode about the birth and the death of her child on episode 23. Today we discuss with Chrissy that there's a special bond between parents who have lost a baby, how she doesn't get to forget her son and likes it when people bring up her son Zyler, and encourage us to love our family and those who we care about because unexpected things do happen. As a word of caution to our listeners, the discussion contains emotional triggers of stillbirth and infant loss. Please keep yourself emotionally and mentally healthy and seek help if needed. Hope this helps someone out there today. Well, Chrissy, thank you again so much for coming on today and telling us Zyler's birth story. That was so touching and moving, and it was kind of horrible, actually. It was hard. It was hard to hear, but I'm grateful that you told his little story, and you were showing me pictures of him just a little while ago, and he is so cute. I just can't get over how cute he is. So thank you so much for coming on and just chatting with us and talking a little bit about what it looks like for you and kind of any advice that you would give to somebody going through what you've gone through. So welcome again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And it's really a great opportunity. I'm glad you guys are doing this because it gives us a chance to explain and talk about it and think about him and keep his memory alive. And so I appreciate your time too.
Oh, we're happy to do this part. This is easy. This part is easy. So just to give a little bit of context, how long ago was Zyler, when was he born and when did he pass away?
Zyler was born April 2nd of 2007 and he passed away October 15th of 2007. So about 12 and a half years ago or so.
Yeah. And if you have not heard her story of Zyler and how he passed away of, I guess it's called unexpected SIDS, SIDS, when he was 6.5 months. Please listen to that episode because once again, it was just heart-wrenching and so grateful that you were able to share that. So it's been about 12 and a half years. What has that process looked like?
I can't believe it's been 12 years. It's amazing because it feels like it just happened yesterday and it feels like so long ago. So it's been quite the time. Is kind of just ups and downs. And they say that grief's kind of like an ocean, like comes and goes and comes and goes, but it's always still there. But yeah, more like a roller coaster that you just can't get off.
You can't get, I know that's the thing. And you're like, I'm on this thing forever.
Yep. It gets better with time. It's a little bit easier with time. But it's different. It's just different.
Yeah. Now, obviously, when he passed away, those first few months, I assume were just, how were you doing then?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. And maybe I can blame it on the fact that it's been 12 years, but I really don't know. I think I surrounded myself with friends and family. I don't really even know how I function truly. It's kind of all a blur and you just go through the motions to get through it and do the best you can. And I honestly, it just kind of is all blurred together. So I spent time with family and friends. After he passed away, I didn't feel good about staying in our condo where he had passed away, and going in his room and everything took me some time. So I had my stepdad go into my condo and take down his jumper in his crib for me so that I didn't have to do that process. But so that was a big help.
Yeah.
But I stayed with family and friends a lot, stayed at my parents' house, and they really helped and made a difference, made sure that we were eating and continuing on and going through counseling, getting the support we needed. So I don't know, actually. That's kind of, I don't really remember how I functioned. I think I was alive and went through the process without like emotionally being there truly.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you go back to work after, or did you give yourself some time?
I think I took some time off, gave myself some time, and then I did go back to work. I wanted to get back into like a routine and feel like I had something to do and kind of stay busy and keep my mind distracted and stay around other people. And so got back in the process of going back to work and having like a normal routine in life again. Yeah.
Yeah.
As best as I could.
Yeah. A routine helps considerably, as much as it doesn't feel right to, you just want to sit and cry, but a routine does help.
Yeah, you can sit and cry and people would understand that and that'd be okay. But then you have to make a choice of if you want to keep going on or stay like that. And so you just kind of do the best you can. So
Yeah. I can imagine, because he passed away when he was 6.5 months. When his first birthday came around, how did you guys celebrate? Did you celebrate? Did you do anything for him, or did you just like don't talk to me, people?
most of the time we do celebrate his birthday. It's definitely a time that I look and remember happy times and look at the good pictures and celebrate all the time that we did have with him as a happy, healthy, wonderful baby. So we do celebrate his birthday most of the time by sending up balloons, birthday balloons, the Mylar balloons. We get blown up and we all let them go at the same time. And we say we're sending them to him and we let those go, or we get together as a family and have a big meal or something just to kind of show support. But each year's a little different. And sometimes I try to keep myself so busy so that I don't just focus on just that date, either the day that he was born or the day that he passed on, his angelversary, they call it.
The angelversary, yeah.
Angelversary is what they call, which is, I think, a beautiful name. It's better than a lot of the other terms you can use. And so we celebrate that and definitely remember it in different ways. Or I go decorate his gravesite or his headstone that we had designed. It has like a teddy bear on it and it has some angel wings on the back of it. It's really beautiful and unique. And so the teddy bear, I think, is holding some balloons, and then it has a star and a couple stars and a moon on the headstone. It's really beautiful. So we go decorate that for holidays and put some garland out there for, Christmas time, and just show that we still remember him. He's not forgotten about, and we miss him and love him.
That's great. That's great. What do you think has helped you kind of heal or process some of this stuff? You mentioned counseling, going to get some counseling.
Talking is really, really helpful for me. Talking through it's a good thing. And everybody copes differently, but for me, processing those thoughts and emotions, either getting them out on paper or a journal or through poetry or talking with a close friend or another parent of loss that kind of understands, it really is therapeutic to just get it out and kind of talk about it. And so that has helped me probably the most. And then I'd say time, of course. Time helps. It makes it a little bit easier, a little bit different. But also just trying to help others and trying to create awareness and support other moms or other parents of loss. So that, I think that has helped me too. But other than that, you just take it a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Yep. That's all you can do. Most of the time.
Oh, my only other thing that I would have put in there is like reading about books on grief or child loss or how to process that as a parent. The self-help books and all of that stuff kind of makes you feel like you're not so isolated and alone.
Yeah.
Kind of get some support that way and feel a little bit better about the process. So that helps too.
Was there a book in particular that you were drawn to or really appreciated the point of view that they presented?
Yes, there's some wonderful poetry out there that really I read often. And then there are some journals from some loss support groups that I've joined around the area or even online. And they send out like newsletters or pamphlets, or they send out like a couple of different like editions a year.
of their magazine or
Yeah,
newsletter.
they send it out, quarterly or something of the magazine that kind of has some positive inspirational quotes in it and some nice pictures and stuff like that. And so I do that. And then I also have a support group on Facebook, actually, of a bunch of lost parents and family members. And that is a good space to kind of vent and not feel so alone and feel really supported.
Mm-hmm.
When you want it, it's always there any time of day or night. So that's nice to have.
Yeah.
But
I would say same thing with me. Like the Facebook group is helpful because
mm-hmm.
somebody has a very similar situation that's probably happened to them too. So
yeah, unfortunately, and you share certain dates with people, the day your baby was born or the day the baby's anniversary was, or how old they were. There's a lot of stuff we have in common. And so that kind of connects you so that you're not alone in the process and the only one going through it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe I will snag some of those titles from you of those books that you really enjoy, and I'll put those in the show notes so people have reference to that if since you enjoy it so much. So
I would love to share them. Yes, they're beautiful. There's a lot of good things out there. So I would love to share those with you guys.
Great. I'm going to ask you a couple questions because a little bit about you being a midwife. You are training to become a midwife right now. How did you choose that? Especially after this kind of loss. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine, Chrissy.
I've always loved moms and babies, and the process is wonderful and beautiful and perfect most of the time. And so it gives me a sense of hope, and I really, really enjoy and connect with the ones that go smoothly and have no complications and problems. And then the ones that end up difficult or the way that we wouldn't want to have them end up, I try to support them and help them heal and go through the grieving process as much as I can, being understanding as well. So most of the time it turns out wonderful and it's great and it's a big celebration and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love it. And so I just always have loved it. And there's nothing that I really connect with and enjoy more and think about more. And so the whole entire process is so cool. So I'm so blessed to be able to be given the opportunity to be invited to be in the space of women and their families and who they choose in that special time, because a birth is a time that you never forget out of your entire life. Giving birth is a time that you never forget. And so being invited into that space is so sacred, and it's just such an honor that it's awesome. It's totally awesome.
That's great. And I love the fact that you are able to, if, like you said, things don't go as planned, you have a little different perspective. I think that's awesome. and you're graduating here soon, aren't you?
I'm looking forward to graduation. Yep. Yay. We have a certain number of requirements we have for birth experiences and different types of clinic visits and management of all of those things to help healthy women and kind of like nurse practitioners as well. So we can give a lot of information and education on different types of birth control methods and STDs and a whole range of everything going on throughout the life cycle of a woman. So it's super awesome, and we can help with breastfeeding and answering tons of different questions. And so it's really great. Like each day's a little different, and you just never know when the baby's going to come. If I could predict or know exactly when the baby would be delivered, I would share all the money with everyone.
I know. I was going to say you'd be rich.
Everybody asks us that, and we can kind of narrow it down sometimes based on some of the signs and symptoms, but those babies come when they want. Yep. So they're in control, and we're just there to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible. But.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. I think that's great that you're doing that. Now, okay, so you talked a little bit about kind of navigating the process after Zyler had passed away, and I'm wondering how your partner at the time was dealing with that. How did that go, or how did that look for you?
I don't really know. I think we had different communication styles. And so I like to verbalize a lot of my thoughts and get them out, like I said. And so like counseling or friends really helps me. And I like remembering the good times with him and having happy, smiling, healthy pictures of him. And a lot of people cope differently, and that's okay. And everybody processes things at their own speed and their own time. So we kind of coped differently. And at different times, I went to nursing school to keep myself really, really, really busy. So I soaked all I could into time of reading and learning and textbooks and going to nursing school so that I kind of just was distracted from it, really. So I wasn't really processing it very much at the beginning. And so working through that process, we just went different ways and we continue working through it at our own rate and dealing with it the best way we can from here on out. So.
Yeah, that's one thing that's always been surprising to me of how differently my spouse and my husband and I, Lee, we are just way different, way different when it comes to how we've grieved. It's surprising and it's unexpected too, because you'd think that I would be the one that was, we're just all so different. I think he's way more emotional than I am, but then I have my moments, and I guess it's just like that roller coaster we were talking about. You just don't never know when you're going to drop down.
Exactly. And it sounds like you guys are an awesome team for each other and you help lift each other. And sometimes you have tough days or rough days and you're there to support each other. But a lot of relationships and marriages don't actually stay tight and connected and intact after a loss, unexpected loss, and people do grieve differently. So that's awesome that you guys are still together and being able to be there supporting each other. That's great.
We try, but it's hard. It's hard work.
Very hard. Yeah, it's very hard.
So I want you to answer this question from somebody that has had a loss, and then I'm gonna ask you a question about from almost a midwife point of view. So what is something you shouldn't say to someone who's experienced a loss, especially your particular type of loss where it was SIDS and it was unexpected and it was like he was happy, healthy, and doing great. Is there anything you would tell people? Don't say this to somebody that's experienced this type of loss.
I think my biggest thing was, we talked about how we process grief at different times and how we do deal with things differently. So I guess maybe like hurry up or move on or get over it. I mean, you never can get over it. It's been 12 years and I'm like, I am not over it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over it. So don't ever tell them that. As a parent of loss or somebody that's went through the experience, we don't get to forget. Unfortunately, we take it with us everywhere. So we don't get an opportunity or a chance to forget, even if we wish we could.
Yeah. I remember you saying that to me, I think one of the first times we chatted, and I was like, what? That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I wish I could freaking forget. That's why I try to escape sometimes and go on a walk and call my friend and listen to music and clean and do all that to try to forget. But it's always with us no matter what. And another piece of my advice would be for people that are supporting somebody that's went through loss or grief, also to, like I said, talk about the person and see how that person's coping and doing, and talk about the person that passed on or had the angelversary. But we don't get to forget. And often some people don't say anything because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And my husband said, well, I don't want you to change your mood and be sad if you're not sad, or to think about him if you're not thinking about him. And I said, we don't get to forget. I don't get the opportunity to have that feeling. So I'm always thinking about him, always. So you ever bring him up or mention something about Zyler or the baby that we had or my son, or recognize that I had 3 children, not just 2, and recognize that he was here and that he existed and it was a big part of me, would be awesome and definitely welcomed, because you'll never change my mood and you'll never have an opportunity that you're talking to me and go mention something about Zyler and I'll go, oh man, I completely forgot about that.
Nope, that's never going to happen.
Don't ever get the opportunity to get that escape. So you can talk about them, you can mention them, you can tell me that you remember them or you're thinking about them, and I would love it anytime, any day. It won't hurt my mood at all. So
yeah,
we don't get to forget.
And we don't want to forget our babies.
We don't want to. Yeah, that's the thing. We want people to talk about him and have him be remembered and their life to have purpose and a meaning, and remember him and remember that he existed. Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing would be, the other comment that kind of sticks out to me is, oh, well, at least you can have more children. And so
yeah,
you're right. I can. And I have had wonderful children, and I love and adore. And I am so blessed to have a girl and a boy that are healthy and just beautiful and wonderful. But you wouldn't want to trade, you would give anything to have your baby back, and they're all different. And so you don't ever want to tell them you can have more children, because you can't replace the one that you lost, even if you try.
Yeah.
It's just different. So just honoring them and respecting how they deal with it. And some people are a little bit more private and closed off. And I, on the other hand, like to talk about it. And I have pictures of him all over the place and all over the house. And he really brings positivity to me, and I can't ignore it. So everybody does things different, but
yeah. And to acknowledge that also. And then back to the comment about, oh, you'll get pregnant again, you'll have another baby. It does feel, I feel like it feels dismissive. Like, oh, his life wasn't like, okay, you're good, you're done.
Yeah, it's hard, especially being the mom and the one that once you find out you're pregnant and you're so excited and looking forward to all of those things, and it's just different. You connect with that baby, and everybody processes it different. But yeah, that would be a hard comment to take. Just get over it. Or even if they're trying to say it in a helpful way and trying to be supportive, like, oh, you can have more children. Well, yeah, you're right, but it doesn't make up for the one. It doesn't replace the one, even if it's like immediately after the loss. It doesn't replace that one. You still have that loss and that grief there. So
yeah. And is there anything, as having seen and practiced and learned as you're training to become a midwife, is there anything you would recommend people not say to somebody that's experienced a loss from your point of view as a professional?
I'd have to think about that one a little bit, but yeah, sometimes people can say comments, and the way you perceive it at the time, if you're the person going through it, could be different than they intended.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hard, but also you don't want to say nothing, because you want the baby to be remembered, and you want that situation to be recognized and not forgotten about and validated. And so you don't want them to say nothing or ignore it and pretend it didn't happen either. But everybody's just kind of different, but you just try to respect their process and where they're at in their grief and how they deal with things. And each one's just unique and individual depending on the situation. And all of us that are in the group that nobody wants to be a part of infant, child, and pregnancy loss, and don't know, it went away.
Well, nobody wants to be part of that group. I'll tell you that right now.
No, we're all in that group, and nobody wants to be a part of it. And unfortunately we are. So you just do the best you can, but you realize that everybody does it at their own speed and in different ways and has different beliefs, and that's okay. It's made me it's given me a chance to be a lot more open-minded and realize that there's multiple ways of doing things, and the way they do it is okay, and how they want to do it fits them, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. How about something that you would say to a lost parent? What is something that has meant a lot to you that somebody said to you?
Over this time, it's actually just having him remembered. I think most of us in this group that nobody wants to be a part of is that we want our baby and our child to be remembered. And so say their name and say that you remember their birthday, or that you're thinking of the parents and you miss them too, or really just a simple phrase that really to me is helpful. And sometimes when I don't even know what to say to people in their situation, just say, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry means a lot, and it's really powerful.
Yeah, it is. And I love that phrase because that does wonders.
It's simple, and it shows that you're caring, and it shows that you are not trying to give them advice or make them do one thing or another, and you just want to try to support them the best you can. And so a simple, I'm sorry, or I'm thinking about you, or let me know if I can help you, or if you need anything, means a lot.
Yeah.
I love when people call me or text me on like his birthday, or say happy birthday, Z-Man.
That's cute.
Yeah, that was his nickname, Z-Man. So that's pretty awesome. That's kind of cool. We just want our kiddos remembered, and them to continue living on. We don't want it kind of feels after 12 years that sometimes a lot of people just forget about it. And after the loss and the funeral and everything, people move on with their own lives and they keep going. And for us, it stays with us and we can't move on. We try to do the best we can, but we can't forget. And so it's pretty cool when somebody calls me and texts me or says happy birthday, Z-Man, or says I'm thinking about you, or how are you doing, or can I come with you to send balloons to him on his birthday, or
that's cool.
Anything like that helps. Yeah, that's awesome. So
yeah, it was one of my sisters-in-law. She actually said this to me because her best friend had passed away and she was struggling, and she said something that has stuck with me. She says, "You don't move on. At least in our case, we don't move on. We move forward, because that's the best we can do, right? We're just moving forward, not moving on. Our babies are going to be with us always, yeah. And so that has really been impactful to me to realize it's the best we can do. So we're just moving forward."
Yeah, and you can't ever get over it or forget about it, even if you kind of try. But it's different. Yeah, you move forward, but you bring it with you. But it's just different.
Yep, it's just different. It's just different. You say that you like to have people talk about Zyler. Now, is there anything that you do to encourage people to talk about him, even after all this time, even?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All those awesome people that were there and very supportive, showing at his service and his funeral and everything. That was great. I still remember him. I got his initials or his name. I got his name tattooed on my wrist, on the inside of my wrist, when he was 3 months old. Mm-hmm. And so I always have that. And so that's a big conversation piece. A lot of people ask me about that. And I have pictures in my house. And so if they don't know, they ask about that, or on social media on his birthday or his angel anniversary or the date of his, even when I'm just feeling a lot of grief and loss, I post something about remembrance or something, and that gets people to comment and kind of not forget either. So a lot of people, I'm really blessed to have a lot of people in my support circle that continue on with me, and they haven't forgotten either, and they're there, and I'm really lucky.
My husband has a tattoo as well, and that is, he gets to talk about our son because of that. So
yep. And mine goes deeper, it's very meaningful to me. Yeah. But that's what I'm living for. It definitely gives me a purpose and a reason, and my kiddos are the reason I do everything I do, and the reason that I'm trying to work hard towards becoming a midwife, not only to help moms and babies and families and make a difference in my community and where I live, but also just to make them proud. And that's the reason that I try to do what I'm doing.
That's cool. You are a good mom.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Try. It's hard traveling for clinicals and everything and being away from them. It's been really, really trying and challenging, but I want them to know that if you work hard towards something, you have a goal in mind that you can persevere, and if you put effort into it, then you can make it happen. So that's why we're doing it. It doesn't last forever, so I'll be hopefully not having to travel all the time, or things will kind of change a little bit once I'm done, but I couldn't do it without my husband. He keeps everything together and supports me. I could not do it. I couldn't do everything without him. I don't even know.
It's amazing how, I'm super grateful for my husband too.
It's definitely, he's the better half. Yep. I'm really, really blessed to have him. So,
yeah. I do have a couple of other questions. Have you had any aha moments or realizations about grief and how this process has been for you?
I think just realizing that no one wants it to happen. We all try to prevent it and do the best we can and worry about it. And then once it does, no amount of grief or suffering or guilt could bring them back. And so you can cry as many tears as you need to or want to, but it won't change the situation. And so you can either be sad and depressed and really soak in that and people would understand, or you can try to be busy and make a difference and be positive and put it in a positive light and go forward that way. So
You have a nice outlook, I think. I think that's wise because yeah, we can't change it. We can't change the what happened. And
No.
so but yeah, definitely acknowledging and grieving and but then understanding that there's it's okay.
Any of us would change it if we could. We'd give anything and everything and not think twice about it for sure.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you just got to do the best you can.
Yeah. We are only 18 months out from our loss and you're 12 and a half years. Is there anything that you feel like you've learned in those with a little bit more time under your belt?
I think I've learned the major thing is to ask for help
Mm.
in any situation really, but like with loss especially or grief, you can kind of get in your head and feel isolated and alone and like you're the only one going through it and nobody understands, but you really have to ask for help because there's people out there that would be more than willing to help you and love to be on your side and support you, but they can't read your mind and they don't know that you need that if you don't tell them. So being one to ask for help and communicate that to people in whatever way you need it is the biggest thing that I would encourage people to do, that don't suffer alone and be by yourself and ask for help because there's things out there that'll help.
Yeah.
So.
There's plenty of resources and I feel like there's plenty of people in my life that would jump on the chance to help if they knew I needed the help. And yeah, so you just have to communicate that.
Communication is a big thing, but yeah, ask for help if you need it, or that's kind of the biggest thing I've learned with time, I suppose.
It's a good one though.
I've also realized with time that like it goes along with asking for help. Sometimes if you feel like you're suffering or not able to function, or it's recommended that you're on medications or that you have therapy, that's okay. Like life continues on and doesn't mean it's a lifelong thing that you have to be on the medication forever. But if you need it to help function, then it's okay.
Yeah.
It's better than the alternative. So
yeah. Yes. I amen to that because it can be temporary or you might need a little longer. It doesn't, but if you need the help, use the help.
But sleep is really important, and anxiety and depression and all of those thoughts and feelings are valid, and you need to communicate that to somebody that can help you. And if you need medication, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great thought, Chrissy. So Chrissy, it was interesting because you reached out to us with this podcast and I appreciated your note to me. And you said something about how it didn't feel as alone hearing other people's stories. And I appreciated you sharing with me your story and Zyler's story. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. That's awesome. And I think the support that we give each other as lost moms and dads is, I think, super, super helpful. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for sharing your story and reaching out to us because that made my day when I got your email because I was like, oh, good. I'm glad all of these people that we've interviewed have been willing to share. And then it's been helping other people too. Because I think you found our podcast on Zyler's Angelversary, right?
Yep. October 15th, Pregnancy and Infant Loss, Child Loss Awareness Day.
Yeah.
I was feeling kind of lonely. And so I was listening to podcasts and I was mowing the lawn actually while I was listening to stuff. And I was like, there's not going to be a podcast about loss or grief or infant death or, and so I searched and I was very pleasantly surprised. And I was like, well, this is like a delicate subject. I wonder what they have to say. And you guys just do it very respectfully, and you're very good support for moms and families and going through the process. And so I appreciate you and all the time and effort and work that you and your husband put into this. And then every listener that kind of even gives it a thought about something that's said or spends their time listening or going through some of the grief with us and showing their feelings and emotions makes the world a different place, even if you don't think it does. It's small, and just creating awareness that can happen. And unfortunately, life still goes on. So you just I appreciate every listener and everybody that's helped me immensely. And so even on those days that sometimes days are really great and awesome, and some days that it's just out of the blue, unexpected, you'll see something or hear something or remember something, and it just like takes your breath away, knocks your gut, like kicks you in the gut and takes your breath away, even after 12 and a half years that just you didn't see coming or you didn't anticipate or you didn't expect. And so you can feel really alone or go through the grief cycle, and it can be really hard. And so I appreciate having people that are willing to listen to the birth story or how people work with things or do things that help them. And I also listen to your guys' podcast to see how other moms and families navigate their loss in different periods of time. And every situation's different. So even though I've been through it, I can learn from everybody else as well. So I appreciate this space, definitely. Everybody that supports your podcast and just the mission and vision that you guys have and that you are wanting to bring us all kind of together, all of us that are in this group that don't want to be in the group.
Yeah.
Or even people that don't have any idea about this situation, or they come upon it just accidentally or anything like that. I appreciate it. I love it. So
yeah, we appreciate you so much too, because really we've been interacting for a couple of months now in preparation for this interview, and it's just been delightful. And I'm kind of like, oh, she does not live very far away. I should go and meet her sometime. Right. But thank you. And I want to say also thank you to the listeners and those people that we've interviewed and who we will interview, because it makes the space a little less lonely feeling. I know we're out there, right? We're out there. There's so many of us out here, but it just makes it not feel as lonely. So thanks for those words. That was really kind of you to say that. Chrissy,
nobody wants to go through it, but once you're in the situation, you just gotta try to do the best you can, and it feels a lot better if you have people on your side and ones that understand. And so even if we haven't met physically and been friends forever, we have this special bond and connection if you've lost a pregnancy or a child or a baby or somebody really close to you, that you just have this unspoken connection that you kind of understand things. Yeah. Which no one else had to ever experience anything like it.
Yeah, exactly. As kind of a last closing thought, do you have any advice that has helped you that you want to share?
I think my advice would be love the people around you, and you can try to anticipate things or prepare for things or expect things, and there's still unexpected situations and circumstances that come up. And so I would say, just take the extra time to tuck your kids in at night, or rock your baby to sleep if he's crying and doesn't want to go to sleep. But I would say love your kids and love those around you, because you never know when that might be changed or taken away from you. But I guess my advice would just be give your kids extra kisses and hugs, and that's what I try to do. Even when they're big, they're gonna be like, "Mom, stop kissing me!" But I just want to show them how much I love them, and there's no way to actually express that to them. But I want them to know that they are the reason that we live and the reason we go on, and so they're our point of living. So if the people around you spend the extra minute to give them a call or respond to their text or send the email back or just tell somebody you love them, because you never know.
That's perfect. That's a perfect bit of advice. So, Chrissy, thank you again. This was delightful. I learned so much, and I feel super uplifted, even though this has been it's a heavy topic, but I feel uplifted because of your energy and your like, you've just got a light about you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. I appreciate you've done the same for me. And talking about it's like therapeutic, and it's kind of hard and it's a difficult situation, but there's so much good in life, and there's so many things that we can keep doing and keep going on, and our kids would be proud.
Yeah. They would be proud.
They would be proud. So yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I so look forward to this, and thank you for your time and all you guys do for that. And I can't tell you enough how excited I am to keep telling all my friends and family that I talk about his memory and try to keep that alive. So
that's awesome. Thank you, Chrissy. This was amazing.
I'll talk to you so soon.
Yes.
Thanks. See ya.
A huge thank you to Chrissy for really shedding some light on what it's looked like for her to have lost Zyler after 6 months of being a healthy and happy baby. And we're so grateful for moms and dads that are willing to share such a vulnerable story with us. And I'm grateful for the advice that she lent us today. I feel so grateful for her wisdom. So thank you again, Chrissy. Head on over to our website, stillapartofus.com, where you can find the show notes, including a full transcript of this interview and any resources that were mentioned, where you can sign up for our short and helpful email newsletter, where you can learn how you can become a patron and support the work it takes to produce the show for just a few dollars a month, and lastly, where you can find out how to get in touch with us if you want to share your child's story on the show. The show is produced and edited by Winter and Lee Red. Thanks to Josh Woodward for letting us use his song Vanishing Note. You can find him at joshwoodward.com. Lastly, subscribe to this podcast and share it with a friend that might need it, and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us.
Have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot, and anyone going faster than you is a maniac? George Carlin.